Everyone. I'm Ji Heng Lee. I'm the President and CEO of the Association of Community College Trustees. Thank you so much for joining us for this essential discussion, urging our swift attention and collective action. Today, we come together for the Leveling Up, Realizing Black Learner Excellence at Community Colleges briefing. This isn't just a conversation, it's a call for action, addressing challenges impacting the educational journey of Black learners in community colleges. Community colleges serve as crucial gateways to better opportunities for many Black students, providing access to higher wage jobs through post-secondary credentials. The significant decline of 44% enrollment since 2011, especially impacting Black learners, raises deep concerns for all of us. This decline underscores the essential role of community colleges and have played in creating pathways for success. Today's discussion focuses on the critical need to reshape our higher education system to better support Black learners within the context of community colleges, in ensuring continued access to these valuable opportunities. Before we delve further, I want to express gratitude to the Level Up National Panel, a coalition of 26 higher education executives, academics, and national leaders. This initiative, addressing declines in Black student enrollments and completion, is a result of their dedicated work. I'm honored to be a member of this esteemed panel, and it's through their collective efforts that we engage in this important dialogue today. As we dive into this discussion, our objective is clear: to explore equitable solutions that enhance the success of Black learners in community colleges. Education is a powerful vehicle for economic prosperity, yet systematic barriers persist, disproportionately affecting Black learners. We aim to identify and work towards overcoming these challenges, acknowledging the vital role community colleges play in our educational landscape. Now let's delve into the insights and solutions presented by our distinguished expert students and congressional champions through today's discussion. Each group will share their perspectives, shedding light on multifaceted aspects of this critical issue. It is my honor today to welcome Congressman Burgess Owens, Chairman of the Subcommittee on Higher Education and the Workforce Development. Congressman Owens brings a wealth of experience and dedication to the crucial intersection of education and workforce development, something we all do in our sector. With a proven track record of leadership and advocacy, we eagerly anticipate his insightful remarks, drawing from his deep commitment to addressing the challenges facing our educational landscape. Congressman.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks so much for what you're doing, for your focus at this point. Thank you. Appreciate that. And for my opportunity that I have to be part of this process. A little bit of background, because I have a message that I hope really does, hope kind of permeates. And it's one that I was raised with, one that everyone in here has partaken in somewhat of accepting this concept. But we have to make sure, I'll tell you in a minute what I'm talking about, have to make sure this concept is shared with others. I was blessed to grow up in the Deep South in the 60s, segregation, but was very in the shadows of a remarkable campus, FAMU, Florida A&M University. My dad was a college professor there for 40 years. And raised in a very positive community. And I'll say this, for us to make a difference to our youth, they need to have hope. They need to be left with a positive impression of their future. Yes, we all have obstacles. Every single one of you guys in this room has had some obstacles that you've overcome. You've overcome it though. And because you have, that needs to be the message to our kids. Tough times will come, but you'll get through it because of who you are. And the tenacity you take, the attitude you take, and the ability to take lessons from those obstacles and move forward. So I will say this, as we kind of talk through this process, what can we all do that's probably the most important thing for our kids coming through? Let them know they can do it. Don't overload them with all these barriers of the obstacles and how bad things are. And listen, we all have our tough times. We don't need anybody else's tough times. So let's be the group that educates our kids how to be dreamers. And I'll say this, a little bit of background. I left Tallahassee in the 60s. I was the third black to go to the University of Miami. I went there not thinking I'll be a football player down the road. My goal was to be a marine biologist. So I got a degree in biology and chemistry. And I want to make this very clear point. I didn't get through through affirmative action. I got through just like everybody else did, through hard work, grit, and living in a library, because I had to work harder than others had to get it done. But that was kind of what was expected of us. We were told when I was growing up, work twice as hard as the next guy. It doesn't matter. 3 times as hard. It doesn't. Just do what you got to do to win. So let's make sure that happens. I went to Jets for 7 years. The Jets are doing exactly now what they did 40 years ago. Nothing's changed with those Jets, I got to tell you, boy. Finish with the Raiders. And that year, those years of the Raiders kind of taught me something I want you guys to remember. I had 12 seasons of losing seasons, from high school to 4 years at the University of Miami to 7 years with the Jets. The 13th season was a charm. Super Bowl championship. Nobody ever asked me what happened those 12 years before. They said, let me see the ring. Boy, it's heavy. Who said that? Okay. Here's the deal. No matter what we're taking part in, you will at some point experience the 13th season. And that's when all the hard work, everything you've gone through, all the ups and downs, say, man, it's so worth it. I'm here. I've gotten through it. I'm doing things that I've never dreamed. I always dreamed I could do, and now I'm doing it. But to get to that 13th season, you got to go through the 12. The 12 is ups and downs. It's where you learn the basic lessons of life: tenacity, loyalty, hard work, commitment, the things that help us develop the character we need. This is what we need to be teaching our kids. We need to talk obviously about the ABCs and how to read and write, but all that comes when you have the attitude that if I do the hard lifting, if I learn how to read, I learn how to write, I learn how to articulate myself, I learn how to take different approaches on life, listen to it all, and be respectful that I can still appreciate that everybody can think a little differently. That's heavy lifting. But we can do that. It all comes down to if our kids are positive about their future, if they think that we're in the greatest country in the history of mankind, that has not been a perfect country, just like we're not perfect people. But guess what? As we grow up, we mature. We learn a little bit more about how to deal with each other, how to appreciate the process we're going through, to get a little more confidence about ourselves, and to at some point get to a point where we can literally love serving other people. That's the way we grow as individuals. That's the way we grow as a country. That's what we need to be teaching, my friends, our kids. If you teach them anything else, we can continue to have the failure rates we're having today. We cannot afford to do that. So just know, I'm one of those guys who never thought I'd be a politician. Entrepreneurship was what I was all about. One little last story, and I don't want to take much more time. One little last story, because this is important for me to tell the full story of success. Came out of NFL, came out of Raiders. My last year was a great year. Decided not to be a free agent, to get a free agent contract, even though I just had a very good season. Decided to go into business. This business that I put everything into 9 years later failed. 9 years later, the great lifestyle I had, living in this beautiful home in Long Island, New York, I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 kids for a few months. And during that time, because I was taught as a young man, you do whatever you need to do to provide for your family. So it doesn't matter, as long as it's honest. So I was a chimney sweep for a little bit, and day, and security guard at night. Years later, a few months later, I ended up starting my career as a corporate sales rep, and that took me the next 20, 23 years. Why do I like to tell that story? It's important to understand it's not that you go down, that you do fail. It's what you do after you fail. Do you keep going? You keep your process going, and do you one day tell your story so other people can be inspired by your story, your efforts, and your success. So I'm here, yes, as a Super Bowl championship, but more recently as a chimney sweep and a security guard. And that's a story we have to really tell our kids, guys. We got to tell our kids they can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. So I want to thank you guys. My passion right now is education, period. That's the only thing I knew when I came here I wanted to do. I'm very fortunate now to be part of the higher ed and workforce. So whatever we can do on a federal level to support, let us know that. Let's get to the point, and we're looking at all kind of options, include things with the Pell grants, things with outcomes, being rewarded for outcomes, being rewarded for being able to support more at-risk kids, give more bonuses for success in those areas. We're doing some really remarkable things to make sure that meritocracy is brought into this process. If a school system wants to work hard and succeed and outwin everybody else, they should be making more money than anybody else. That's the way it should be. Bottom line, success is outcome. So that being said, I'm going to kind of give up the time now, and thank you guys. I look forward to spending more time with you for sure. All the best.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Stout, and I'm the president and CEO of Achieving the Dream. For Achieving the Dream, our commitment to Black learner excellence has been at the core of our work and at the core and heart of our mission since our founding 20 years ago. It continues today with our commitment to the national level up work, our commitment and behind the scenes guidance on the level up recommendations, and the heightened call to action that we make to community colleges across the country today. From the start of their journeys, with Achieving the Dream, we immerse our colleges because we believe our own transformation and redesign of policies and systems and structures and attitudes will drive equitable success. We immerse our colleges in their data, and we immerse our colleges in the stories of their students, the real life lived experiences of our students. And I'm really, like, the best part of today will be when we hear from our students. And we do that to help institutions identify their own performance gaps. Areas where we are failing our students because we've put up obstacles in the way. Our structures and systems have created obstacles for students, especially for racially minoritized and poverty-impacted learners. Learners' community colleges must reach and serve as they, our students, drive not just their prosperity, but they drive the prosperity of the communities within which they live and serve. ATD institutions are in 45 states, and their reach and influence at the local level is immense. But by aggregating our voice and what we have learned from colleges in our network that are breaking down barriers for Black learners to access our institutions, first of all, through stronger, affordable pathways into our colleges, and through things like changing the way their dual enrollment programs are structured. And from what we are learning to support Black learners once they reach community colleges, through things like reducing excess credits to completion. And these are things that are, these are important things that really help our students. Coordinating campus supports so that students don't have to run from one office to the next in some disconnected, uncoordinated way that makes sense to us as institutions, but makes no sense to our students. And helping our colleges improve the understanding of the lived experience of our students so that they can create a strong sense of belonging for all students. Through that work, Achieving the Dream believes on the ground, at institution by institution across this country, we can drive change. Our network college students are like community college students everywhere. And our network is representative of rural, urban, and suburban areas. And our colleges include most of the tribal colleges in this country, a large number of community colleges that are PBIs, and a large number of community colleges that are HSIs, predominantly Black institutions and Hispanic serving institutions. While many of our colleges are building new ramps of access for Black learners, creating conditions to accelerate Black learner success, and doing a lot of good work, and we have good data to show for it, we know from the Level Up results that we need to do more, that we aren't doing enough. And our recently released Equity Toolkit offers our colleges guidance to help with accelerating equitable outcomes on our campuses. We recognize that for Black learners to succeed, we must ground our work in equity-minded practice and use a combination of strategies that will improve success for all students coming into community colleges, things that the community college leaders in the room will recognize, like addressing placement testing systems and using multiple measures, like looking at our early momentum metrics and ensuring that more students get through their first year with college-level math and college-level English, like looking at developmental education sequences as a result of the results of those early momentum metrics, plus using targeted strategies, like those that Dr. Curry may talk about at Compton. Like, I think, a program Tommy was part of at Tallahassee Community College. Those programs designed to support Black learners, in addition to those universal strategies, can drive and accelerate Black learner success. Our supports at ATD go deep, and they touch Black learners in many ways, through our adult learner work, through our parenting students work, through our Racial Equity Leadership Academy, and through our recently launched Accelerating Equitable Opportunities cohort, where we've used funds that were donated to ATD from Mackenzie Scott to help support more under-resourced community colleges to enter our network, under-resourced community colleges who are serving a large percentage of Black learners and Pell Grant eligible learners. And in response to the call for action today, we want to go deeper with institutional change and driving institutional change and supporting our colleges. And we will soon launch an Alliance for Black Learner Excellence. ATD will be developing new tools for Alliance institutions. We'll be building cohorts of practice, communities of practice of colleges that want to help to really come together and lean into this work. And we will be helping these colleges develop baseline metrics. Representative Owens talked about the metrics and the results and the progress, baseline metrics, and we will help our colleges set and achieve aspirational targets that support Black learner excellence. ATD is leveling up and getting real in taking action to support our colleges, in enrolling and graduating more Black learners. Federal investment in our community colleges has helped us to do a lot of this work. But the commitment, Representative Owens, that you talked about, and the movement to create more energy and bring more attention and awareness to the need for us as a country to step up and help advance Black learner excellence is urgent. And you'll hear more about the data around that case as we go on today. So please think about joining us as we move forward with this call to action. Thank you.
All right. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I want to first and foremost start by thanking our colleagues of the Association of Community College Trustees, Achieving the Dream. Of course, Dr. Curry with the Level Up Initiative for their vision and leadership for bringing us all together in this important space at such a critical time as it relates to higher education. And so what I've been asked to do is to use some of the national data to provide some context on the status of Black learners. And then I'd also like to offer what I think are some important and forward-thinking strategies, things that we can start to think about doing and implementing within our systems to make sure that Black learners enjoy the success that they certainly deserve. So a lot of the conversation that we're having and most of our concern around Black learner success, pardon me. Okay, I think I just did something wrong there. There we go. So a lot of our concern about Black learners is really rooted in their economic status. And so I think it's important that we start this conversation by looking at how poverty has impacted the Black population in the United States. And we can see here a family of four with a household income that ranges, say, from $30,000 a year to $37,000 a year is assumed to be experiencing poverty. And so I want us to keep this data point, this figure in mind as we look at the next couple of slides. We also see here that nearly 1 in 5 Black Americans are experiencing poverty. And so when we think about this, that there are approximately 48 million Black people in the United States, which means that nearly 10 million are experiencing poverty in some way or another, right? Which is certainly alarming and should be a concern for all of us, and really underscores the importance of the conversation we're having today around Black learner success. The good news is that educational attainment appears to be negatively correlated with poverty. So we know that those who've completed some college are far less likely to experience poverty than those who've completed high school without enrolling in college. And this is why one of the many reasons why the work that we do around college access and around success and attainment is very important. And then I think it's important for us to get an understanding and somewhat of a snapshot of who are the Black learners that are currently enrolled in our community colleges. And we can see that those who are enrolled typically have a median household income of about $24,000 per year. Of course, that's, again, we talked about the impact of poverty there, and that certainly puts them within a range of those experiencing poverty. About 36%, so say 1 in 3 Black students who are enrolled in community colleges are experiencing poverty. We know that many of our students have parenting responsibilities, so about 40% of Black women and about 21% of Black men who are enrolled in community colleges are parents, right? Meaning that they have other significant responsibilities that may have an impact on their enrollment and success. Our students are also working, right? So about 78% of the Black learners who are enrolled in community colleges are working, which also speaks to the next data point. About 3 in 4, so more than about 77% are attending part-time, right? So they're taking one class, maybe 2 classes at a time. They're attending at night. They're attending on the weekends because they have other responsibilities related to employment and parenting. And that's been the case for a while now. More than half of Black learners in community colleges are women, and more than half are 25 years or older, right? So we are talking about a population of adult learners who are working, who have family responsibilities, and other important things that impact their lives in important ways. We also need to talk about success, right? So we know who Black learners are, but it's equally important that we talk about to what degree they're experiencing success within our institutions. We can see here that Black learners represent about almost 14% of community college students, which is slightly lower than the representation in the year 2010, which is around 15%. Now, what's also important to note is that during the same time frame, the total number of Black learners who enrolled in community colleges dropped from 1.2 million to 670,000, right? Which represents an alarming 44% decline. In the year 2019-2020, which is the last year for which racially disaggregated graduation rates were available, only 28%, so less than a third, of Black community college students graduated within 3 years. In comparison, 44%, 39%, and 34% of their Asian, white, and Latino counterparts completed within 3 years during that same time frame. This last data point that I like to show is the disparity in household income between Black workers who've earned an associate's degree compared to their other racial and ethnic peers. And as we can see, there's a $20,000 difference in income between Black households and households for all racial ethnic groups, and more than a $33,000 disparity between Black household incomes and the groups with the highest household income, Asian Americans. And so we can see here that even though, even when our students complete associate degrees and move on to employment, they're still not experiencing employment in an equitable way, right? There's still significant disparities in the type of wages and salaries that they're earning. And some of us are probably wondering, okay, well, what are some of the reasons why Black community college students experience less favorable outcomes than their other racial and ethnic peers? There's many reasons. These are a few that I'd like to offer. And this is by no means an exhaustive list to start. And so we know that oftentimes our Black students experience our community colleges in racially hostile ways and often cite a lack of a sense of belonging within institutions. They don't feel safe, they don't feel welcome, they don't feel included within our institutions. They often have relationships with educators that are not grounded in trust, respect, and authentic care. We know that Black learners are experiencing basic needs insecurities at alarming rates, more so than other students. Employment, many of our students are working, so they're trying to balance school and family responsibilities and employment responsibilities as well. Stressful life events tends to be a reason that is often cited. So when we talk about the things like health concerns, housing concerns, things like that often have an impact. Social stereotypes and deficit perspectives are a real concern. We have educators that actually believe, and in some ways, sometimes are comfortable asserting that Black learners are not as committed, not as smart, not as capable of being successful as other students. The cost of higher education continues to rise, right? The cost of everything continues to rise, whether they're talking about education, housing, food, and so forth. And so that's having an impact. Sometimes our Black learners have a negative perception of degree utility. There's concerns about the investment that's required to participate in complete higher education. And is it going to be a worthy return on their investment, right? Are they going to really see a measurable improvement in their quality of lives and the quality of employment that they can get as a result of completing higher education? Dr. Stout talked about this earlier, about the importance of having campus services being well coordinated. That can be a concern. The curriculum is not often culturally relevant in a way that's responsive to the learning needs and the learning strengths, I should say, of our Black learners. And then oftentimes we have a workforce of educators that really lack awareness around the lived experiences of Black learners, right? Which is really important when we think about creating a culturally relevant and a culturally affirming learning experiences for Black learners. And so I want to wrap by offering some ideas and some strategies, some things that we should do to ensure the success of Black learners in community colleges. First, accountability is really important. We need to make sure that those who hold leadership positions within institutions, whether they're talking about presidents or chancellors, or wherever they may be, that there's some accountability for Black learners. When we think about performance evaluations and even hiring processes, to what degree are we asking folks to speak about the role that they'll play and the degree to which they'll prioritize the success of Black learners. We also need to make sure that Black learners are equitably represented in dual enrollment programs. And for those who may not be familiar, dual enrollment programs provide opportunities for students to begin taking courses in community colleges while they're still enrolled in high school. And it's become a very important strategy, not only for increasing enrollments, but also making sure that students have some exposure and that they get to build some momentum and in some ways get a running start into higher education. We know that students who participate in dual enrollment programs are more likely to persist to higher education and more likely to complete higher education. And so making sure that Black students are equitably represented in these programs is really, really important. We also need to make sure that we have the data systems that we need to really understand to what degree the system is having a positive impact on the success of Black learners. So making sure that we can begin to track Black students from the time that they enroll in education all the way through career, right? Making sure that we can do the tracking and the disaggregation that's necessary to assess to what degree are we having a positive impact on the success, the life success of Black learners. Making sure that we continue to support efforts that reduce or eliminate costs as a barrier to access and persistence. I was pleased to hear that Representative Owens talk about Pell Grant and the importance of making sure that we do the important work around Pell Grant reform to make sure that a Pell Grant could actually cover significant costs of higher education as it was intended to be intended to do when it was created. Establishes short-term career training programs with industry partners that lead directly to employment. So we tend to think about higher education in terms of associate degree and bachelor degree completion, and that's really, really important to do. But we also know that our Black learners are experiencing poverty in some pretty significant ways. So making sure that we can give folks the opportunity to enroll in institutions, to maybe complete a short-term program that'll allow them to get access to employment that pays a livable wage faster. Not to say that needs to be the end point, but making sure that we can get folks employed in ways that can actually have a measurable impact on their quality of life is really important. And then making sure that we develop industry partnerships with Earn While You Learn and pre-apprenticeship programs that are directly tied to union labor employment is really important as well. And so we know that union labor employment tends to be jobs that make sure that there's good protections around benefits, around wages, around fair labor practices, and making sure that oftentimes our Black learners and Black workers are not well represented in these programs. And so making sure that we continue to develop in its programs in the skill and technical trades like electricians and plumbings and welders and HVAC, right? These are all emerging industries that tend to pay very well. And so making sure that we have opportunities for our Black learners to access those programs, again, not to say that needs to be the end of their higher education, but making sure that there's some opportunity for them to do that. And then finally, making sure that we have seamless non-credit to credit pathways, including the baccalaureate, right? And so we know that there's a lot of legislation in our home state of California that's doing this for programs like mortuary sciences and the bachelors of science in nursing and cyber defense and analysis and health information systems and auto tech, right? These are very important programs, again, that pay a livable wage and that give learners the opportunity to continue higher education beyond the completion of a degree or certificate. And I think that brings me to the end. Oh, pardon me, I think I forgot to. Credit for prior learning is another important opportunity and something that we should make sure that we're doing as well for Black learners. Okay, thank you so much.
So it's really a treat for us to have time with these students today. They are scholars, they are advocates, they have tremendously bright futures, and they all were able to give up their day today to talk a little bit about their experiences. And so I'm going to start with Tommy and work my way down and ask, how was your community college experience in terms of influencing you to become the student you are today? And I know that you're a transfer student, so tell me a little bit about that community college experience and how it got you to successfully transfer and be well on your way into your career.
Yeah, so I started the summer of 2021. It was still coming out of COVID at the time. So some classes were still online, some were coming back in person. I think one thing that really helped me is the support from the faculty. Having smaller classes is really helpful because it's easier to be able to talk to the professors after classes and build that relationship with them, to talk to them and have them help you instead of it being like a really big class. That was something that really helped me become a better student. While I was at Tallahassee Community College, I was the student government president. That helped my professional skills, that helped me become a better public speaker. It challenged me to be a leader, and that really challenged my leadership skills that have gotten me ready for where I am now at Florida State University. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tommy. And so, Sade, tell us a little bit about your personal and educational experiences at Prince George's Community College, which is not too far from here, and also a PBI.
Yes. My personal education experiences have been really amazing at Prince George's Community College. I could sit here and sing the praises all day, but I know we don't have that kind of time. But just as Tommy mentioned, having the smaller class sizes and having the programming and the relationships that you build with your professors and along with your classmates and your advisors, I would definitely love to highlight the advisors at Prince George's Community College. They grab each student in and they take them in with love and care. We have specific pathway programs that helps each student understand when they hit the ground running exactly where they're going, and to make sure that you don't spend unnecessary time at the college. They love you when they come in, but they love to see you graduate as well. So our advising program is really phenomenal there, and I appreciate the love and the care and the attention to detail that they give to every student that walks in the office. They listen to your needs, they listen to your career goals, and help you devise a plan that will curate the curriculum that you need to be taken a part of, and also help you beyond turning the tassel. And they have workforce development and placement as well, and they have definitely been a very key influence in my educational and career development.
Thank you so much, Sade. And Kendra, you are here from Compton, and we'd love to hear about your personal and educational experiences as well.
So at Compton College, I started full-time 2022. So when I arrived, I didn't know what to expect in general. So I was like, okay, I'm going back to school. What should I do? The first day, I had to go see a counselor. They were consistently emailing me consistently. So I got the support like, hey, you have to go to a counselor. Now, I've been to other colleges, and I'll be honest, I won't say their names. I never seen a counselor ever. So it was kind of new to see that the counselors were emailing me. They were contacting me like, hey, you need to come in. Then we have different programs like the EOP program that I'm able to be a part of that communicated with me too as well. So these programs allowed me to be successful because they were so supportive. They allowed me to have free books. They gave out vouchers. They gave us free grants in general for being a part of those programs. It was just so much support that I felt like, why should I leave? Why should I leave knowing that I'm going to get this support? Now I'm able to understand what can I do next because they were supportive. Like the staff was supportive too as well. They always explain their stories of what they've been through, and it gave me that acceptance to know that I can be here too. I can be successful just like them too as well. So being at Compton, it showed me so much that I'm able to be successful. So that's why it was able for me to promote to other people too as well, that you guys need to be here just like me.
So Tommy, Congressman Owens talked a little bit about the support that you need in the home as well. And I know as a former Dream Scholar, you've talked about the support your family gave you and the encouragement in helping you to become the scholar that you are. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I started at Tallahassee Community College, I was not able to drive. So I fortunately had the support from my mother and father to be able to take me to class when I needed it. They also supported me by going to the events that I spoke at, or encouraging me when I was struggling in my classes or whatever that I may have needed from them. I also had, being a student government president, I also had many benefits, and I got support from the president of the college and other administration at the Tallahassee Community College. And that helped me professionally because they would always ask, hey, do you need anything? Do you need a letter of recommendation? Do you need us to put a word in for you? And that support also really helped me during my time at Tallahassee Community College. And again, like I said, the faculty, they want you to succeed. At colleges, they wanted me to succeed. So they would help me with whatever I needed to help pass my classes and be the best student that I could be. So support is something that I'm very grateful to have had during my time at Tallahassee Community College.
Thank you, Tommy. Sade?
Receiving support from my family in general, and also friends, it played a very vital role when deciding to continue my education. You know, we all heard the phrase, it takes a village, and it truly does. Just from the learner standpoint, to make the decision to go and further your education, that's a big deal. To some people, it might just seem the next step in life, but others might not be able to have the assets to do that, or the drive, or the funds. So they need the support of the people. And I was fortunate enough to have support. So sitting down and having the conversation with friends and family members and loved ones to say, hey, I have an idea. I want to go to school. And for them to say, okay, sure, why not? Let's do it. But then here comes the pandemic. So everything came to a screeching halt. And trying to find a school that was open and available, because when I decided to start my educational journey, I just wanted to go to an accelerated program for nursing. I had no clue that I was going to end up in a community college. And every school that I looked in around this area, they were, oh no, we're not accepting students right now due to the pandemic. We're trying to navigate how we're going to continue education. And then I tried another program and another program. And one of my friends said to me, why don't you try Prince George's Community College? I was like, oh, I never thought about that. I sent an email, I got to with an advisor, I filled out my enrollment form, and it was that conversation from the support systems that I had that changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm forever grateful for that one conversation. And that was the best moment of my educational journey so far.
So with me, I'm considered a non-traditional student. So I do have a family at home to take care of. So Compton College definitely made it easier for me to have support from my family because they had a daycare to accommodate that, along with the grants, the free food that we eat every day. So I brought food home. I don't have to cook when I get home. So the support, it made it more easier on my end because it wasn't so much they had to do. They didn't have to cook for my family. The babysitting in general, it helps out to accommodate that that issue. So the support wasn't so hard because it was Compton College who was benefiting me in general to get me to that point.
So I want to pivot a little bit. You all are clearly students who've had a lot of people pour into you, and you have been incredibly successful. When you think about the data that Dr. Harris shared that shows the decline in enrollment of your peers by 40%, what do you think we could do as policymakers, as educators, as advocates and allies to speak to your peers that are not coming to college, and some of whom are coming to college but are leaving quickly and without a credential? And we'll start with you, Tommy.
Yeah, I think that there are definitely many reasons why African American students don't go to college or don't finish. One of them is they have a family to support, or they don't have the drive to go to college or to finish college. And something that I think is really important is support from policymakers for whether it's a daycare like Kendra said, or whether it's academic success advisors for those students who need that push, who didn't get to go to college right after high school and had to go a little bit after. They just need that push and need that support from them, and I think that will go a long way. And I think that is what students need for sure to be successful after starting community college.
The data is there. It was shared. It also broke my heart to see those numbers. So as I was watching the presentation and thinking of different ways, at my campus, I always like to say to my board, we are a community college, and the word community needs to be the focus. And I think a lot of times that policymakers and the change makers in general forget community when they think about the systems. You have to dive into the community, listen to the people, and hear the needs of the individual communities that we are serving. So like Kendra said, the daycares, that's necessary, not just at Compton, it's necessary across the country. I would love to see parenthood not to be a burden, but to be something that is accepted around the globe, and not for just people to just turn their nose up. Oh, you have a child, so you can't. Or you don't have enough money for food, so you can't. Or in a specific instance for my high school education, we didn't have dual enrollment. I think that is a phenomenal program. I also don't think that that should be an option for any high school. I think it should be an ongoing thing for every secondary education. You should have dual enrollment at every high school. I don't see what the issue is for that. I think that would be phenomenal. I would have loved to participate in a program like that. But now having the opportunity, being on the other side, being a student trustee, and hopefully one day moving into a permanent seat to help my college, that's something that I would like to see and implement in my county. but keeping the community first and keeping an ear to the ground and not forgetting the people that we are here to serve is a major key.
Like Sade said, those numbers is heartbreaking because to see 40% and you sit here and listen like, wow, they're really not at college. They're not here. What are they doing? So when I'm on campus, I kind of analyze and I speak to students because I try to figure out what's going on with them, what is their needs, and what is their concerns for them to not have to leave. And the main concerns are they need funding. So we need funding. We need more options, more programs, more things to implement that aspect for they don't have to go somewhere else and get a part-time job, a full-time. So like with Compton, we have multiple jobs that's available for us. Like you can work there. There's no problem. As soon as I hear a student say they need to go somewhere else, oh, no, come back here. We got jobs here. I can get you in right now. Don't run away. And then along with that, we need that support. We need to know that we're able to come together and someone is here to accommodate that. So I feel that those two things can work out. Along with that, I know a lot in the urban community, we always feel that sports is the main way to be successful. Not everyone, but majority of people that I do know that. And then when sports is gone, they feel like I don't need to be in school. So I feel that they need to understand there's more ways in sports that you can do, like a sports commissioner. There's so many different aspects that you can make that money to as well that you don't have to say, okay, I can't do sports no more. So they need to figure out an actual program that implement to let them know different options of things that they can do besides sports.
So many nuggets from you all and lots of places we can go with this. And Tommy is majoring in sports management. So I know he's dying for me to ask a question about that, but not just yet. You're each leaders. Tommy, you are the president of your student government association, and both Sade and Kendra are on their board of trustees. And what we'd really like to know is how do you engage your peers that are like you, Black learners pursuing excellence, and get them to come to the table to have the kinds of meaningful conversations that we're having now to really give them the fortitude to pursue as well as to be able to advocate for themselves. So tell me a little bit about your engagement with your peers.
Yeah. So I was also a part of a club called Black Male Achievers. During that club, we had an advisor that supported us and wanted us to succeed, checking in with us with our academics, with our mental health, and with our experience while we were in college, and just talking with other people in that club was really helpful because we all supported each other. As Black Male Achievers, one thing that we always made sure we did was support each other with our schooling, and I think that went a long way because with me being student government president, I can listen to maybe advice or maybe listen to ideas that they may have and report to the president of the college. That's one of the things I loved about being student government president was being able to hear students' concerns and ideas they may have, and then report and have a meeting with administration at Tallahassee Community College to tell them that there are students that need this, there are students that need this support, and just talk to them and give them ideas to find ways to fulfill their needs and support them. So yeah.
On my campus, I'm a part of a program called the Women of Wisdom. Our acronym is WOW, and it's definitely a WOW program. We have a reach of over 1,000 women on our campuses because we have multiple campuses, and I am the lead ambassador for the Women of Wisdom program. So being involved in that program, and I'm also a little bit of a chatterbox. So being a part of that program, having the opportunity when I first came to Prince George's Community College to be a part of the Student Governance Association, it got me close to my classmates, and then just actually participating in class, talking to people, being around them, creating study groups. And again, I started when the pandemic started, so it was really, I want to say it was kind of easier then to just kind of shoot an email, hey guys, you want to study? And it'll just go to the whole class. And then we would pop on Zoom And then that's how our relationships started. And it was those close quarters and those breakout rooms where those relationships were built. And then from there, being allowed back on campus, it was exciting. We wanted to come out and participate. So when Women of Wisdom would have a program, I would be asked to speak or to MC an event. So I would always get a mic, hey girl, hey, and they would run up and, oh my goodness, I remember you from the Zoom. And I took the time to hear them, listen, know their names, talk to them, and build genuine relationships. And that helped my position as not only in student governance when I was chief of staff, but moving forward as student trustee to be the voice of the people on campus.
So last semester, we had a workshop that was called Student Development for Leadership for Black Learners. And those, I believe it was 4 workshops. And then within those workshops, it showed us like the development of how to come together. It created a purpose for us to understand each other. So in that aspect, I knew everyone needs. So they had concerns. We all spoke about it. And me, knowing that I'm the student trustee, so now I know what your concerns is, so now I can bring it to the board now. And some of them, if it's something that's extremely deep, then I know that, okay, now I can help you out and I can put you in a direction that will help you out. So that actual workshop, I do believe that was really helpful. It got us to all understand each other and come together. We got to know each other. People knew who I was at that aspect. So now when I'm on campus, they look at me like, okay, Kendra, hey, can you help me out with X, Y, and Z? And I appreciate that. Come to me, please. I want to help you. So that workshop really helped out. I know we're doing it this semester too as well. And I'm very proud of it because I'm a part of it too as well. And I think that's something that was beneficial for us.
Thank you, students. So we're hearing a bit of a pattern in terms of supporting peers, being supported by leaders, the relationships you're building with your advisors and your faculty. And so I'm thinking about Dr. Harris, who is the co-founder of the Community College Equity Assessment Lab. And part of the work that he does is really looking at the data, but looking at the story behind the data in terms of what's our next step in really understanding our Black learners so that we can provide the supports that they need. So if Dr. Harris was to come to campus, where would you tell him to go? How would you help him find his way to Black learners so that he could understand their student experience and use that information to help us in terms of providing additional support?
Yeah, I would say to just, I mean, for my college, we don't have a lot of the things that other community colleges have with housing or maybe groceries, whatever it may be. And I think that there are many things that come into play when it comes to Black success in college. The way that just your childhood, how you grew up, has a big say in how you will do in college. I think that supporting K through 12 schools and giving them advice throughout their high school career and just getting them ready for when they do get the opportunity to go to college is really important. And I think that speaking for them is really important because they need that support. They need that push to know that they can do it, they can succeed in anything that they want to do.
On our campus, like I mentioned before, we have the Women of Wisdom program, but we also have the Diverse Male Student Initiative program, DMSI, that's their acronym. That will be 2 great student organizations to hear the needs of students, not only students of color, but just students in general as well. And then we could move over to our wellness center. I am very proud of Prince George's Community College for having a fully staffed wellness center. A lot of people forget about mental health issues when it comes to Black learner experiences. And that is a definite necessity. And I have seen that shine right on our campus. There are many students who take pride in going to our wellness center. It is plenty of students who access that every day. And I have seen a turn in a lot of my classmates from using the wellness center. So those 2 organizations, along with the Wellness Center, of course, our Student Center, you can catch a bunch of students hanging out in there and just shooting a breeze and talking. But those 2 organizations, that one center and our Charlene Mickens Dukes Center as well, That's where our Student Governance Association is housed. That is where a lot of our student union and study halls are. Those students in there, you can tell that they really want to be in college. They're really trying to connect not only with each other, but the advisors and the professors. They're taking the time out of their day to stay behind after class to get to know people and to get to know the change makers on the campus, whether it's student leadership or if it's faculty, and they are really invested in their own educational experiences. So those would be the students that could be a really breath of fresh air to get some information from.
So we have an office called the Black Males of Colors Department. So I say that's a particular safe space to allow the students to have help. It is not only help for Black males, they also help out with the Black females too as well. I've been a part of some of their conferences that they invited me to, and I felt accepted in that area. We also have the equity building that also helps out with things that we need to as well, like accessories of like laptops. We also have Wi-Fi. It also has contracts with housing because some of our students do need housing too as well, even though we are receiving dorms as well. But in the meantime, we do have a contract that helps us out and benefits us. So those two offices, I do believe, is beneficial and give us more of a safe space for us to allow us to have that support that we need.
Thank you. So this is my last question. I would love for you all to tell us what's on the horizon for you in terms of your career and your educational path and anything you need from us to support you in meeting your dreams.
Yeah, so I recently transferred to Florida State University. I'm currently in their sport management program, and that's going very well so far. I would like to work in sports marketing for a professional team after getting my degree in sport management. And this summer, I got the amazing opportunity to study abroad in London and take classes there. So I am currently in the process of fundraising for that. And it's such an amazing opportunity that I get to get with that, and I also plan to minor in business, which will be very helpful for my career. So that's my plans right now.
I just graduated in the fall, so I'm excited to be moving forward. I have 5 acceptance letters. Every school I'd applied to accepted me, so I have options. I have my front runner school, but I don't want to name schools, so I haven't committed just yet. I'll tell you guys off camera. I don't want to put any schools against competition, but I will be studying in public policy, and then moving forward, I plan to go get all of the graduate degrees, and I would love to be up here every day with the change makers of Washington, D.C., my home sweet home, and continue to move forward and help create change in the place that I call home.
Wonderful. Okay. So my major is communication and media. I'm gonna go to USC. I'm gonna put this on camera. I'm okay with that. Well, I want to do more so public relations with it. So I feel that field would be more my aspect. And I don't mind being a journalist as well because I definitely want to interview people because I want to see their perception of how they do things. And I feel I do that so well that that's my goal.
Please join me in thanking our student panelists.
Thank you very much to Dr. Trent and also to our student speakers. My name is Keith Curry, President, CEO of Compton College, and also the National Chair for the National Panel on Black Learner Excellence. I'm excited to be here today with colleagues and friends to continue the conversation about Black Learner Excellence. I do also want to acknowledge the different organizations that have been a part of this work. We have HCM Strategists who's here today. You have Educational Council. You also have Achieving a Dream and the Equity Avengers. And I also want to say thank you always to Dr. Frank Harris. Whenever he gets a text, he always shows up. I don't know how that works, but it just works in my favor. But I do want to say thank you publicly to Dr. Harris for his knowledge and also for his recommendations as it relates to Black learner excellence. He's been doing this for a long time. It's not nothing that's new. So if you haven't had a chance to look at his research, it's pretty good. I just want to take some time to talk about Level Up and the work that we have been doing around Level Up. So Level Up means leveraging explicitly value in every Black learner unapologetically. And the goal around Level Up is really to bring forth and have conversations about Black learner excellence, but also it's a call to action to get individuals involved in this work. So on the screen right now is our timeline of how this has all started. For me, I was actually lucky enough because Achieving a Dream recommended my name to HCM Strategists regards to this work. And I got involved when they were doing some studies about Black learner excellence. And it was all about what's happening at Compton College around Black student success. And Kendra Carrs, our student trustee, she mentioned about the service program, the service we provide to support students. So after I was involved in those initial conversations, I also became involved with the expert advisory committee that did some work regards to the enrollment decline of Black learners. But what we found, it wasn't just about the enrollment decline, is that even though we might get the Black learners on our campus, what happens to those students when they get there? So we want to recruit them, but when they get there, are those students successful? Will they persist at our institution? Will they graduate from our institution? And so after we worked with the Expert Advisory Council Committee, we actually created the national panel, which I will talk about in a second. So the Expert Advisory Panel had several individuals that worked on this. But one of the things I think is very important when we talk about the Expert Advisory Panel and the Get Real agenda is that was really looking at the systematic changes required for unapologetic leadership and shared community responsibility and bold action. We continue to talk about Black learner success. I've been involved in this space since I was 19 years old. As a 19-year-old college student, talking about Black student success and students enrolled at the University of California. So I've seen this for years. But at the end of the day, from my perspective, it takes unapologetic leadership. It takes shared community responsibility, but also it takes bold action. And so we came up with the Get Real agenda, which talks about real, transparent, and true affordability, looks at ensuring success through shared ownership. It also talks about academic and support and social support that creates sense of belonging and learner-centered teaching practices for Black learners. I'm going to talk about each one of them real quick. So we talk about true affordability. I've been writing a lot about affordability and the cost of education the last couple of months because I'm really upset and tired of how many times where students have to figure out what the cost will be for their institution. And they have to make a decision, do I go buy a book versus do I buy food for myself or my household? So really looking at affordability for students, how we can ensure that college is affordable for our students. And as the Congressman mentioned earlier, double down Pell, right? That's an easy solution in this conversation regards to double down Pell for our students. But also, I truly believe we can't have these hidden costs as well, right? We have some institutions that have these hidden costs for students, or I called it the other day, one of my students mentioned it, is nickel and dime students for certain costs within the institution. We need to be able to show true affordability for students and be very transparent with students about the cost of education. And don't change that cost, right? So you know the cost that first year, the cost remains the same for 4 years at your institution. But really focusing in on the students as ways to transparency and also affordability. But also shared ownership, right? We know the data in regards to what's happening, and the responsibility is no longer on the student. At the end of the day, for me as a college president, the responsibility is on me, right? So we take on these leadership roles, are we engaged in these conversations, but someone has to take on the responsibility. But it's a shared responsibility. You can include the students in this responsibility as well, but it's a shared responsibility. But also we have to hold leaders accountable for this work. If we're not moving the needle as it relates to student success, particularly Black student success, there needs to be more conversations within our institutions of what can we do now. But also utilizing the data to hold us accountable. As Dr. Harris mentioned about setting metrics and indicators as it relates to Black student success, why not have those conversations in our institutions? Also creating academic and social supports that create a sense of belonging for our students. Understand that Black students on our campuses have to feel like they belong and they're part of the institution. I never forget when I was in college, I had a faculty member said, they didn't say Dr. Curry at the time, they said, Keith, you're not going to graduate from our institution, right? So if someone tells you that when you're 19 years old, that you're not going to graduate from our institution, what does that mean? That means I don't belong at the institution. So for me, I wanted to prove that faculty member wrong. And I wish I remember that faculty member's name because I could be able to put it on blast in these types of meetings. That's so wrong, but it's the truth, right? Because you never forget those individuals who told you were not good enough to be successful at that organization. So really making sure that we provide, that students have the academic and social supports, make sure that we address the mental health of our students. So when it was mentioned about wellness centers, that's important. One of my dream, when I talk about freedom dreaming, is about building a hospital on our campus to support our students that's 24 hours, because students have to look to go to urgent care that has staff there as ways to mental health support, but it's 24 hours for our students on our campus and also for our community. Some people say, Dr. Curry, you're freedom dreaming. Yes, I am freedom dreaming because our students deserve that. But making sure that we're providing those supports for our students and basic needs supports for our students as well. So students they don't have to ask for services. Making the services, all you gotta do is show your ID, right? So you need basic needs services, just show your ID. You don't have to fill out another application to tell someone how poor you are. And then also having teacher learner-centered teaching practices for Black learners. You know, one of the things when I think about this at Compton College, for the first time, we had a Black grad ceremony celebration last year. A school with this over 90-year history finally had a Black grad ceremony last year. But think about how significant that ceremony is for our students. Were they able to be with other students who look like them to celebrate their accomplishment? We might not say, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is for our students. But think about Black students who are predominantly white institutions, and they don't have that opportunity to be able to celebrate their accomplishments. But really looking at how do we celebrate students' accomplishments through cultural activities, but also ensuring that our hiring practices, we're hiring faculty that look like our students, that have the shared experiences of our students, so they can see that it's possible. I'll give you a story about this. I had the opportunity to chair an accreditation visit to San Quentin Prison, which has a fully accredited college. I was the chair of that visit. I did their eligibility application, I reviewed their candidacy, and also I approved their accreditation through the accrediting commission on the West Coast. But it was interesting to hear individuals who go to that school, that institution, say, I've never seen a Black college president that is your age, that looks like me, who's leading the institution. And they're from that community. That's when I realized how important it is, not only for me to talk about being a college president, but also to encourage other individuals to be faculty, to be administrators, and also be college presidents. So students have the opportunity to see someone who looks like them. That will encourage and motivate them as it relates to higher education. So then we created a national panel after we got the Get Real agenda. And what's interesting about the national panel, it was several individuals, but it's talking about, okay, sign on to this. What's next? How can we be involved in this work? And so we were able to figure out a strategy of how to continue this work. And these are individuals that was on the national panel. And Dr. Karen Stout is here, and also Ji Hang is here as well. But we talked about the call to action and how individuals could get involved in this work. Asking states to invest more in concrete strategies to support Black learner success. Look at the federal government as relates to policy, double down Pell, don't say it over and over again, of how we can support our students. But we look at our policy and regulations and investing in post-secondary education. Holding colleges and universities accountable for this work as relates to Black serving institutions, which means to really prioritize budgets for Black student success. I have a quote that I use all the time, is budgets are statements of values. So if you look at your budget, does your budget reflect the work that you're doing for students that are Black students on your campus? What does that look like? Budgets are your statements of values. But also calling action on community leaders to get involved in this work and having conversation about that. But also philanthropic community as well, to be unapologetic leaders, providing financial support to support this work. We're just beginning in this work. And you say, okay, Dr. Curry, what's next? As Dr. Stout mentioned, the Alliance for Black Learner Excellence, which Achieving the Dream is working on. We also have Level Up commitment workshops and symposiums. We had one in New York We have one scheduled in Chicago in April. We just confirmed another one in Detroit in the fall. And we're having conversations with other individuals regards to just spreading the news about Black Learner Excellence. So when you think about a movement, it's not just about having a report. It's about having a report, but also having concrete recommendations and continuing the conversation. But also looking for state commitment and also the support from our state leaders to be unapologetic in this work. And this week, with our partners from HCM Strategists, is they'll be releasing their playbook of accountability guidelines for stakeholders, which includes actionable steps for institutional leaders, state policymakers, federal policymakers, and community and business leaders. This is another way for individuals to get involved in this work through our playbook. And I close with this. You can follow us by just the QR code where you can be able to get information from the website as Race to Level Up. But I also want to just to go back to Congressmember Owens and what he said. We have to let the students know that they can do it. But as leaders, we have to be out in front so we know that they can do it, but we're doing it unapologetically. We also have to make sure people understand that it's okay to fail. Everyone has failed in our life, but also telling people about our successes after the failure. Again, if, as Congressmember Owens said, if I can do it, you can do it. Look, I started out with a 1.6 GPA in high school, and I'm a college president. But it's possible. But it's also possible for all of us to be able to freedom dream. And freedom dream means looking at what is possible for our students. We can break these shackles and really start to think about what our students need and be unapologetic in this work. This is the beginning of a movement, but the movement is all about Black learner excellence. So either you're going to be on the sidelines in this work or you're going to be a part of the work. And I think everyone here today is a part of the work as it relates to Black learner excellence. So on behalf of the planning committee that was a part of this great event, on behalf of Achieving a Dream, HCM Strategists, ACCT, Jihang, I don't know how much we can thank you for your leadership and guidance. Not only did he sign on, but he made sure whatever we need, he made happen. From a symposium last fall to today's event, without ACCT support, this would not have happened. I want to say publicly thank you for all your work and your support. Also want to say thank you to Education Council as well. So that concludes our event today. Thank you very much. And there's lunch available. And please take advantage of all of it. If you have questions, we're here today to answer questions as well. Thank you very much.